Are you in Detroit? Where are you right now?
Yeah, I'm still in Detroit. I'm not. I moved houses from the last time we spoke. I moved like last year, so I've been in the spot for about a year and a month now, and it's been great. It's like my new studio. It's a little messy in the background.
No, it's all good.
It's like my cozy spot now. It's been really great instead of like being in a basement as I usually was.
It's funny. I was thinking about. I don't know why, but I still remember that backdrop when we did the last podcast. Was like. I think because I related to it, like it looked like an apartment I would have lived in like a long time ago, Yeah,
like it's just like the basement was cool and it was cozy, but I hated not being able to tell what time it was outside.
Yeah.
Like I had a little window, but it was like foggy, so I couldn't even see through it. But now I have like this big window right here, and I have a huge backyard with like we literally just had a deer in our backyard 2 seconds ago. Like
sick.
8-point buck. Like we have a whole family that just will sleep in our backyard. So I just like get up and just see a bunch of deer. Yeah, it's really nice.
So good, man. I love that. And I love that I don't know why, but it makes me happy that you're still in Detroit. I think because it's like I get it when people make the LA move, and I know you used to live there too. But I was like, it's cool that you're still there, man.
Yeah, it's where I grew up, and I really like it here. It's chill. I mean, the winters suck, and right now it's getting cold. That's the only thing I don't like. But we take a quick trip down to Florida to get away from it. And but I mean, I just am really comfortable here, and it's affordable right now, and it's just kind of a good spot to like chill and like save my money until I want to buy a house, and God knows where I want to go next. But it's been really good though. It's been great.
Yeah. I just flew in last night from Minneapolis because I was born there and my folks are still out there. So I was visiting them. And it's the same thing, man. It's like such an incredible place, such a beautiful city. And then I was like, it is getting kind of cold. I better get going.
I was just there like 2 weeks ago. I played the Armory with Ganja White Night. And I mean, it was like October still. It just like a day or two after my birthday. And like, it's like at end of October and it was like 28 degrees. I'm like, oh my God, I think it's like winter right now.
I mean, dude, the Midwest doesn't play around with winter.
No, definitely not Minneapolis too. Because I mean, that was cold as fuck, but like in Detroit, like today was 52. Like that's not that bad. Like that's nice. I can deal with that. I had my windows down. I was driving and.
Yeah, we used to, when I was a kid, there's a very famous Halloween that for people of that era, you just call it the Halloween blizzard because it was October 31st. I was in maybe like middle school. Still, I was like the older end of when you could still go trick or treating and not feel creepy,
Yeah. I was just having that conversation with people about like, when is it too like late to like trick or treat?
Dude, yeah, it's probably I was going too late, but it was I don't know. I might have been younger. But anyway, there was a giant blizzard, like serious blizzard on Halloween. Yeah. And, so like all the streets are like glare ice and it's like multiple feet of snow and just us little kids like pushing through to get our candy. And that's a only in Minnesota thing,
Yeah. Dude, we got like an inch or two, or like just under an inch of snow on Halloween here. Like, I was like, what the hell? I went to bed. I'm like, is it January? Is it Christmas? I've never, out of all the years I've lived in Detroit, I've never seen it snow on Halloween here. I was weird. That was something else.
It's getting weird out there, man. Yeah. I mean, where would you go if you eventually buy a house? Do you have like a dream locale?
Not really. No. I mean, like, I guess if I was gonna have like a dream spot, I would really like to be like in Florida or something. Cause like, I mean, Florida's a chaotic state, I guess, but like, I don't know, like my mom lives down there and like, I've gone there all my life and I just would love to live somewhere like in a tropical climate for maybe even like a year or two, like something like that. And also the zero self-employment tax is a pretty nice perk in Florida. But I mean, I don't know. I've been to so many places over the years that it's really hard to narrow it down to one spot, but it kind of just wherever like is the most affordable. That's all I care about. Like I don't care about like big houses. I want like a nice house that's like that's a fair price. I don't care if it has all the bells and whistles. I just want it to be. I want to pay what I'm paying for. You know what I mean?
Dude, can I say this is part of why I love you, man? Because I think that philosophy, I feel like, is similar to the way you make music, where it's like, where it's like you're not trying to like, do the flashiest, the splashiest thing. It's like, and we've talked about this before too, but it's like you're playing your game, making your music the way you want it to be done. I feel like it's something I've always appreciated about the way you do it is it's like, not that you're not paying attention to everything else that's going on, but it really seems like you're very good at sort of just playing your game. You know what I mean? To like make a sports metaphor out of it.
That's always the advice that I've always seen on the internet. Like, with people, especially when I was starting to make music, everyone would always say like, be yourself and do your own thing and make your own lane. And like, as people always, I think some people just kind of hear that and they think it's like so cliche and they're like, well, obviously you have to like conform to like, it's like, no, it's like literally just be yourself, man. It's like, do what's cool to you. Like, it's like really not that serious. It's really nothing more than that, so.
But I think some people have a hard time doing it though, because you're right that it obviously makes sense when you think about it. But I think it's easy to sort of get caught up in other people's expectations or trying to fit in.
That's the best way to put it. It's like other people's expectations. Yeah. Like trying to satisfy other people, which like, I guess that's like cool to a point and it's fair. But like, I mean, I've always made music for myself and you have to be kind of selfish as a producer. Like, it's like, you can't, if you start giving in and doing what people want, like, of your own craft, it's like, well, it's like, it kind of ruins and poisons the art, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I mean, this is, I think, actually a good way to talk about the album, because one of the things, I mean, first of all, just congrats, man. It's fucking
Thank you.
Great album. I really, really like it.
Thank you.
Of course, man. And one thing I liked about, I wrote this down, is like, I liked that for an album, which, that's like a debut album, an artistic statement piece, all these bigger ideas. I liked that you almost went smaller in a way, or like you almost, really, again, like doubled down on what you do instead of trying to make some like bigger, flashier thing for an album project. Like that's one thing I really liked about it, was instead of like really going and doing something crazy out of the box, it was like, no, let's focus on like the core elements of this project and see how far we can take them. And I thought you did it. It sounds great.
Thank you. Yeah. And a lot of people have said that too. Like I've seen so many tweets about that. And like I've gotten a lot of messages from friends who are like, it's crazy, like how simple all the tracks are. And like, and they're like, well, I don't mean it in a bad way. It's like, well, no, obviously it's not a bad way. And it's honest. It's funny. Like, I definitely I feel like I unintentionally did that. Like I wasn't like sitting in the studio with these tracks and being like, I'm going to make like the most simple track ever. But like, it was just kind of just me. Like I felt like every single one of those songs on the album, I really wanted it to feel like me. It's so cliche as that sound, but like, I just wanted each track to like, that's like, even like that's my, I've been thinking that's like a very happy, like melodic house song that you would never really expect from me, but that's something I like to create, like for fun or whatever. Like I make a lot of stuff like that, like in my free time, and like just whenever I feel like it. I don't ever put it out because I'm trying to break that, like, oh well, dubstep needs to be dubstep and like trap needs to be trap. Like it's like, if I'm an artist, like I love dubstep for sure. It's always been like my number one forte, right? But like I also like am an artist. Like I want to explore different sounds. I wanted this album to really show what I can do, like other than just dubstep. And it has dubstep in there for sure. But you know what I'm saying? Like, like the track of my dad, like that one's like kind of almost like an R&B record. And like, that's just because I like that shit. And that's what I wanted to go for, and not really care about making like main stage shit or whatever you want to call it, like just, just showcasing what I can do.
Dude, and that's what it should be, like, especially for a first album. That's exactly what it should be.
Exactly.
I care so much more about, as a listener, like I connect so much more, and it makes me want to like keep up with a project where I feel like I have a sense of that person's perspective and a sense of like, I guess, who they are as a person, not just like the kind of music they make, but like the the lens they're making music through, as opposed to like an album with a couple hit songs on it, which like, sure, I like a hit as much as anyone else and I'll listen to those, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to keep up with that project. That doesn't mean I'm going to stay connected. So to me, man, I think that's like the only way to go. And I mean, also the first time we did this podcast, we started talking about, I mean, you used to make progressive house music like when you were starting off, you know, so I don't, people may not know that, but that doesn't mean that it's not part of who you are as an artist, you know?
Yeah. And and that is a great, like, I'm glad you brought that up because I feel like as an artist, you know, when everyone starts out making music, like everyone kind of has an idea of what they want to make. Like everyone thinks they know. Like I remember when I first started making music, I was like, I want to make progressive house. Like, that's all I want to make because it was the hot trend back then, you know, big room, progressive house. And I still love that stuff. Like I listened to like Alesso, like all those guys, you know, like back in the day, I still listen to it. And I feel like that was a great stepping stone of getting me into electronic music, also producing, because then I slowly evolved. I kind of figured out what I want to make. And I still am I feel like I still do that today. Like I always think, oh, I know what I want to make this year. And then all of a sudden I make some random genre. I'm like, oh, that's kind of like doing that kind of stuff. But I'm still always surprising myself with what I'm creating, you know?
Yeah. I feel like when you were doing more Twitch streaming, I would randomly, I feel like I caught a few minutes of a few different streams. And that was one thing I liked about watching you that way, is it really did seem like very, very in the moment, very much about just like creative exploration with no particular expectations. Yeah. And there was a sense of, I don't know, there's a sense of fun in it that I didn't see in a lot of like production streams. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I mean, those streams, I love doing those. And I just like, I'm glad he's like in the moment, because I like to stress that topic a lot when I'm producing, because I feel like a lot of times people always ask, how do you do it? Or what's the magic secret formula? But there really isn't. It's just kind of just like I mean, and I'll touch on this too later too, but like, you know, writer's block is such a thing that I've gotten that word completely out of my vocabulary, right? Because it's such a mental game. And there's sometimes when like I'm on Twitch stream and like I can't really lay anything down. That's happened. Like I'll stream for like 2 hours and like, you know, I'm not really getting anything down, which that's normal and that can happen. But also I feel like if I just like stayed with it, if I didn't shut down the stream, I could have made something. Right. I could have done it. I just think that writer's block is such a mental game, and you're not allowing yourself to create. You're just saying, I can't do this, I can't do that. And you're being so negative. Right. And like, and that's, I mean, obviously it's not a wrong thing. That's what artists do. We very are self-critical, but getting that whole stuff out of the way and really like, just remember being in the moment. Like, what are you feeling right now? Like, what do you want to make? Like, what did you listen to last week that you really got inspired from? And sometimes I'll just do that without even really realizing it. It's like, I'll just make like, I went to Movement, you know, Detective Festival in Detroit all weekend. And then I came home and I just made like a breakbeat, like UK breaks kind of track. And like, there's no influence. I just did it because I just heard that and I was surrounded by it.
You know, what's funny, I was just last night on the plane, I was listening to some of the old podcasts we did to refresh myself. And what we were talking about, how you had never been to Movement. And I was shocked by that. So I'm glad you made it out.
Yeah. I've gone 2 years in a row now. I went I think I went one day last year. Then this year I went all weekend because it's so nice. I get to go to a festival and then I just can come right home and sleep in my bed. Like, refresh. I went every single day. It was so fun. I got to see so much stuff. Like, I mean, it was incredible, dude. It was so inspirational and like I liked not knowing anybody in the lineup and then showing up and being like, I mean, there was like 3 sets and I'm like, damn, like this guy is huge. I look him up on Instagram. They have like 2,000 followers. I'm like, fuck yeah. Like, honestly, I was like, fuck yeah, that's awesome. Like they're making shit. Like they're going to be huge one day. Like I like catching them before they explode, you know?
Well, and Movement is one of the only fests in the country. There's a couple, but it's one of the only ones that actually sounds like the city it's in.
Yes.
Which I think that makes it stand out so much. It's like you actually go there and you get a sense of like regional identity, which is it's so rare these days, man.
Yeah. And it was really crazy, man. Like just like all the cool different sounds I heard like jungle, I mean, tech house, obviously, like just, you know, Detroit techno, like all these different sounds. And And Hart Plaza is a beautiful spot too for a festival. It's so nice, dude. Especially in May, like it's like the perfect temperature. Like all of our friends are in town. I was running people from high school. Like, yeah, it's a really good time. And I'm definitely gonna go. I want to go like every single year. Like I easily one of my top favorite festivals, you know?
Yeah. Do you know, I can't even remember if I said this last time, but do you know Buku, the producer Buku?
Yeah, Rob, yeah, like BUK.
Rob. Yeah,
Rob. Really good buddies with him. Yeah,
he goes to Movement almost every year and has for like a decade. Yeah,
I hung out with him last year too. We've gone every time. I always see him like he pop in. I actually went to his he did a Deaf Detroit 360 show at Big Pink at this venue, and he was debuting his techno project Calvin Stanley. It was sick. It was so cool. Rob's one of my really good friends. He toured with me on my Black Hole tour.
He's the best, man. He and I back probably before we should have been doing headline tours. He and I toured together as sort of like it was almost like an indie co-headline tour before we were really known artists yet. So it was like all, self put together. But yeah, he and I, like, we spent a lot of time together, man. I love Rob.
I'm going to text him after this and tell him we talked. Actually, I think I listened. Didn't you do an interview with him on?
We did. Yeah.
Yeah, I've listened to that episode. I've listened to that one. Yeah,
man. He's the best. I love it. What a guy. Dude. What a guy.
Absolutely.
I mean, he's another one, I will say, as long as we're talking about this idea, he's another one who I feel like really doubled down on his own sound and really saw great effect from that.
Absolutely, dude. And he's actually gotten me really into like techno a lot, because like with his whole Calvin Stanley thing, and like, he would show me all these tracks and send them to me. I'm like, okay, I'm starting to get this now. And then I went to a Clank Fester.
Yeah, well, because I could see some connections between what you do and a lot of what makes techno, because so much of it is about it's about negative space, Yeah. And it's about sort of small changes in percussion or groove and little like subtle things that become more significant because there's so little else going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I'm glad you just said that, because I've actually, before I never was really into techno like that much, especially like the reason I never went to Movement when I was young is I didn't get it, because I didn't really, I was into like, the main stage, like kind of the mainstream stuff. But then, I mean, I don't know if you can call it techno. I mean, I saw Test Pile, which is Dead Mouse's alias. And I saw
some kind of techno. Set. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I would call it like techno. And I watched that whole set in Grand Rapids, and what I really loved about it, and what finally clicked for me, what I think is so cool is like, people are always like, the regular person or whatever, they're like, oh, it's just the same song over and over. It's like, yeah, but like that's the point of it though. Like you listen to it, you get it's like you're getting, it's like the vibe for like the next couple 5 minutes, right? And then when you hear that next song come in, like the way that it comes in or that you hear it, it is like a breath of fresh air, and it's really cool. Like I kind of like it. It makes each track it gives it more of a spotlight. Instead of throwing like 60 tracks in one set, you more or less have like 20.
Yeah.
Like I kind of like that. It's kind of cool. I like the whole, like, you hear the same loop for a little bit, then you start teasing in the next one. It's like, and I kind of like that. It's really
totally,
cool.
Dude. Totally. Because I mean, it's a problem in bass music without question that it's so easy to overload a crowd.
Yeah.
And people, even like the craziest zealots for bass music who can't get enough, filthy drops or whatever. Like even them, after like a couple hours of super heavy sets, like nobody has the energy for that,
and the attention span kind of goes away a little bit.
Totally, yeah, which can be frustrating for the artists, where you feel, because sometimes you want to have a quieter moment, or sometimes you want to, experiment a little more. Yeah. And if you've only conditioned people to just wait for a drop, it can be frustrating. Like I still love that energy, but then it's hard to kind of wrestle it back,
Yeah, I feel that. I mean, I definitely, like, especially at some festivals I've played, like, I mean, I always am doing my own thing. I keep them very energetic though. My sets are very energetic, but like I definitely play some tracks that are like very left field, and like, but like, and it's definitely not like a, just head, whatever you want to call it. But like, and there's definitely times where I feel like the crowd is just like not, they're just kind of like this, but like, that's fine. That's kind of what the point of the track is. The track isn't supposed to be like a, high energetic tracks, just to be like, okay, like a head nodder, like that's fine. That's totally fine, you know?
100%. And I would say too, sometimes it's almost better to get that reaction when you're on sort of a very homogenous lineup. Like if it's just all dubstep all day long, you know, sometimes even if it doesn't feel satisfying in the moment on stage necessarily, I think those are the moments people will remember because it's something different. And it's something that stands out from kind of everyone doing sort of exactly the same thing the whole day long, you know?
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
Yeah, man. I mean, the album, man, there's a lot of different styles on there, but I think what ties a lot of it together for me, and this was something I wanted to ask you about, was like, you've always had a really great sense of groove. And there's always, you know, it's like there's just a little something off in a lot of your beats, you know, whether it's you actually, you know, taking some percussion off the grid and like delaying it or moving it up, or just some other, the way the rhythmic pieces are fitting together. And I think, again, like, you've kind of doubled down on that with the album. And I love that whole sense of it because, again, it feels like you. But I don't think we actually talked about, because we talked about, I think last time, like that you played trumpet and that you were, you know, in the orchestra pit for like musicals. And we talked about that you had a metal background and played guitar. But I don't know if we talked about like that sense of groove, because none of those things are necessary. Like I think of that as more of like a hip hop kind of feel. Like where does that come from for you?
Yeah, I think where it really comes from. I mean, I actually even think about this a lot because I mean, with a lot of people have asked me that actually, like, where do you get like the groove or hip hop influence? And I feel like I remember the first CD I ever acquired when I was like a kid, and I'll never forget. It was just the NSYNC self-titled album. Like it was on a CD. It was so 90s looking, or 2000, I guess. Yeah, 2000s.
Yeah, but, well, 99 maybe. Yeah,
it's on that rough edge. Yeah, but I remember, and I had the old blue iMac, you know, I'm talking about like the old silver, like see-through one. Had the disc tray. And I remember I would put it in there and I'd load it in my iTunes. I burnt the CD in there. And I feel like that was definitely like the beginning of like how I got into like hip hop, because that was like, I mean, it's very poppy, but it does have like hip hop elements. I mean, it's like JT, right? Like it's got that swing to it. It's very catchy. And like, then my brother, my brother's like, they listen to a lot of like Coolio and, you know, just like, I mean, even like the mainstream stuff, like, you know, like just mainstream rap, like, and Detroit rap was a lot big prevalent scene with Eminem and all that kind of stuff. So I think being around that definitely influenced me. I've always loved hip hop and rap and I really R&B too. Like my dad would play a lot of R&B in the car. And there was a lot of beats in there that are very, you know, you listen to any R&B station on the radio, it's almost like, oh shit, like this could be like a Kate Renata track, or this could be, you know what I'm saying? Like it's got that hip hop swing to it. And that's always been my favorite thing is just, I mean, like you said, you used to actually hit the nail on the head. Like how I delay my stuff. I delay a lot of my hi-hats, like just the sounds. So they're just slightly off beat so that when that kick connects, it's just slightly after that. And it gives it this more like lazy, like pumping feel. And I really enjoy that because it's very satisfying. Yeah. I don't like everything to be perfect. Otherwise it sounds too perfect. I want to have a little bit of imperfection into it. And maybe for a DJ, it's not the most fun to work with. But I don't really care. I'm not making music to DJ. I'm making music because I'm making a track. So like, that's definitely, I mean, I've always been into hip hop, man. Like I love that shit. I listen to it, like that's probably like 90% of my Spotify library right now. It just is hip hop, you know?
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I wonder, you must have latched onto it super early, I guess, because I mean, first of all, it's very funny to say that NSYNC got you into hip hop. That's just objectively a very funny thing to say. But
I've always loved Justin Timberlake, even his solo stuff too.
Oh, I love, stuff
we did with Timbaland. Like that's actually a great, it's like NSYNC, but more or less like Justin Timberlake, just because like with Timbaland and stuff, like those productions were just like incredible and very big tracks of like the 2000s. So I think that really, and, you know, like Nelly Furtado, like Timbaland's definitely a big influence with that. I feel like there's a lot
Timbaland
of stuff,
and the Neptunes, their early work, especially on those JT albums too. Is And both of them, Timbaland and the Neptunes, I think, do a similar thing where it is they'll pull stuff off the grid. It'll be the loops will be a little janky.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what makes them stand out. So that makes a lot of sense too. And the fact that they're known as hip hop producers, but like they are very much hybrid producers, like
100%.
They're pulling from all kinds of influences.
Yeah. Think about all like the hundreds of like tracks that they have just sitting on their computer that they've never, or beats too, that maybe even though they're 20 or 30 seconds long, that are like, I guarantee you they have tons of stuff. They probably even have like dubstep shit or like random stuff that they're just never going to show, but like there's tons of influences. I mean, those guys are tuned in. They know what's going on around them, and like they hear everything on the radio. They're always influenced by stuff. So
yeah, without question, man. I mean, Pharrell's on a Daft Punk song, and they've got NERD, which is like almost metal at some point. There's a lot going on there.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, for you, man, talking about them having, a million different beats and demos and all that, I think of you as the kind of producer who also has that. Like in my mind, you're always creating something. And like in every available moment. And so how does a song get on your album in that case? If you have a million things to choose from, is there a certain point when you say, okay, now I'm going to write for the album? Or is it more sort of looking back at what you've done and seeing like, well, these kind of fit together. Maybe I can, follow this thread?
Well, I'll tell you what, it was not easy. So many like changes of like tracks I want to throw on there, like stuff I took out. And it definitely was tough because especially being my debut album, like I really wanted like every track to just be, perfect and also synonymous with each other. But like I didn't like sit down and I wasn't like, all right, I'm gonna make an album. Like I'm gonna make 13 songs and like, that's it. A lot of these songs are fairly new that I started in the last year. And like one of like Music Box, that track, I started that track like 4.5 years ago. And I found the project file and I was like, I'm going to like finish this. It would be honestly great for the album. I still love it. And it just kind of worked like that. And even after this album, I'm still sitting on like so much music. Like there's so much. And it was really hard to narrow it down to what I wanted to put up because you know how it is. It's like, it's so hard when you write all this music that you're really proud of. And like, nothing is the worst. Like especially like a body work like this or like an EP. And as you're finishing it up, like, I write like after, even when I'm finishing that up, I'll write new songs and I'll be like, damn, like that track I wrote yesterday would be really sick on the album or EP. But it's like, no, it's like, you got to like stop yourself. And like, so it's definitely hard. But I mean, when it comes this body of work specifically, I definitely narrowed it down. It's like my favorite tracks that I worked on or finished over the past like year or two or 4 years for Music Box. But yeah, I just, I was like, this one really fits the vibe and like, it fits, like, it feels like old me, but like I wanted the album to feel like old PEEKABOO, but like it was still a refreshed, like new sound that I'm trying to bring. That's like, it's more like modernized or, what I'm saying? Like a little more like a 2023 refresh,
Yeah, it's like a fine wine that's aged in oak barrels. It's
a nice Napa Valley, nice red. Yeah. I wanted this album to really feel like a red wine.
Yeah. You can smell the what do they call it? The terrain, not the terrain. What do they say?
I don't even know. Like, I don't know. Those guys are making shit up.
Yeah. It's like, you can
Acid.
Smell the dirt where it was grown, that kind of thing.
It's like, okay, dude. Like,
yeah, sure. No, that's a tough one, man. I've gotten really into, there's a tangent, but I've gotten really into like specialty coffee in the last couple of years.
Nice.
And once, guy. Dude, once you dive deep into that, it's sort of the same thing where they're like, yes, and you'll smell, notes of old leather and whatever. and I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm somewhat of a snob about it, but even me, I'm like, come on, guys.
Well, you want to drink some good coffee. You want to wake up, you want to taste good. Coffee is something, I don't mess around with either. Like I don't drink like Folgers or like, it's like, I want to drink some nice, not like, artisanal stuff, but coffee. Yeah, I get that. Like,
do you make it at home? You got a fancy thing?
No, I don't have like a fancy thing at all. I mean, I have like an espresso, so I have like an espresso pods, but like I also like have a really bad Starbucks obsession, so I'll get that all the time. But like, I
Right.
also like, you know, if I'm like out and about on the road, like I'll go like to like a nice coffee shop if I see one, or like even like the canned stuff you see in like grocery stores, like cold brew is like my favorite. So like there's so many different brands of cold brew. And especially in canned form that actually are really good. And I have
Some
them on
of
my
them
rider.
are pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. They're not bad.
Yeah.
I'm like addicted to it. So it's cold
Dude,
brew.
I mean, yeah, I'm getting there, which is funny because I never touched caffeine until I was like past 30. Like
really? Okay.
Dude, I like not even a little. Like I didn't drink coffee, I didn't drink soda.
Yeah.
And then,
wow.
I don't know. It's just I totally flipped. I don't really know why, but
it's the best, man. I mean, it's bad, but it's the best.
Well, it's good. It sounds like I think I'm more of a snob than you are because I can't even do Starbucks anymore. I'm like,
I mean,
it's not good enough for me.
Yeah.
You know,
I respect it. Trust me. I get Starbucks not thinking that it's like the best thing in the world. I just get it easy and quick, but like. I respect that.
Yeah. And it is easy. I mean, don't get me in a pinch, I'll do it. But yeah.
We should ask your viewers what their favorite brand of coffee is, and we'll get them. That way, we'll have our own master list, and then we'll have like the right coffee to go for.
This is good. I mean, somebody listening to this probably. I mean, if I'm sure somebody works at a coffee shop, but I feel like probably someone is like a coffee roaster. That's who I want to get connected. Like, I want the.
I'm just thinking like coffee roaster, like someone that just roasts other coffee brands. Like that's
oh yeah. Like the Comedy Central roast of Starbucks. Yeah.
Oh my God. That'd be so, oh my God. That's some dumb little thing I just brewed inside.
No, this is good. We're cooking now. I like this. Oh man. Dude, before I forget, this is totally off topic again, but when you were talking about seeing Rob Buku doing like a 360 set, I wrote this down too. I feel like you were a little early on the current wave of everyone doing 360 sets.
Yeah, I would agree, honestly. And I saw so many like I think Boiler Room, just like all those Boiler Room sets that you would see on YouTube really inspired me. And like, but like the one thing I tried to do, and I still do it, like I think with my Mission Ballroom set and my Hollywood Palladium 360 set, like I always loved all these Boiler Rooms. I was like, I want them to be like bigger production though, and that was like the goal, was to do a 360 show but still keep like that big production vibe, but also but not at the same time not that big production, right? There's no LED wall, there's no like, it's not about like pyro or all that crap. It's just like cool designs, stage design.
Right.
But keeping it at a big scale. I love 360 shows. I love being in the thick of it. I love like being able to turn around and see like all these people just going nuts. It's really cool. And it's just different. And I love that I see them popping up a lot now, because it is really cool. Do I worry that it might get oversaturated? Like maybe a little bit, but like same time, I don't really care that much. And like, I think it's cool. And I hope that inspires other people to like do similar stuff like that. And you see a lot of really cool like ideas of 360 shows that people are still doing. Like it's limitless. Like what you can do with it, and what you want to do production wise.
Well, yeah. And to me, it goes deeper than just the 360 like layout itself. And it's more about stripping everything back and more about getting back to the basics of, DJ, music, crowd, dance, connection kind of thing. Because I think for a while, EDM got so caught up with like the flashy side of things, the bottle service clubs, all that. Yeah. And all of that is fine, but it's like it was not always a great fit, for a lot of EDM. Some of it works, some of it doesn't. Like, a dubstep bottle service show is very weird.
Yeah, that just made me like, whoa.
Yeah, totally. And it's always been weird, but there were a couple of years where like it was all like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So regardless of whether people keep the 360 format or whether, that gets played out at a certain point, I hope that promoters and artists and everybody can stick a little more to the ethos of just like, strip it down. We don't actually need to like, blow this thing out. It actually is maybe a little more meaningful when it's a little more intimate. all the, because that's where all this shit comes from, like we never used to have, cryo and LEDs and all that. Like that's not the roots of dance music,
Yeah, and then people didn't care because, well, one, there wasn't that like comparison, right? There was it was more like, especially when electronic music was starting, it was because people went there and didn't even know what to expect. They just cared about the music, and that's kind of what I've discovered. I did my hide and seek tour last summer, and that was like my first I want to go back and play these underground shows. I don't care because I don't care if I don't want an LED wall. I don't care if that's like a bar. I don't care where it is. If it's a cool spot, we're going to do it. And I wanted just to only focus on good sound system and maybe a couple lights, but really I wanted it to be like a vibe where it's like you're not distracted by all the eye candy stuff. It's more like you're just listening to the music and being there. And it's like, if you were there, you were there. And then that whole tour completely kind of opened something in me. I'm like, okay, this was really fucking satisfying. I felt like I did something for the fans. I felt like I did something for myself. And then with these 360 shows, it's like, it's the same thing. It's just, you want to care more about the music rather than all the eye candy stuff. And that's cool. And I've always loved doing that. I've done so many shows. I'm not trying to be like this guy. It's like, oh, visuals are bad. No, I got
the cat crawling all over you.
But yeah, you know what I'm saying? I just wanted to create cool experiences for people, and I wanted it to be more about the music and more about just honestly, it's creating a moment, and that's more impactful than getting blown away by thousands of CO2 cannons and
right.
LEDs. It's more I just did this past weekend. I just did I did my Def shows, and there's my album release party. And the first night we literally did an illegal rave in a tunnel, and it was so cool. Straight up illegal. We literally it was definitely not allowed to do that, but no one's gonna care. It's Atlanta, yeah. But it was so cool. And people are gonna remember that. People are gonna remember that for a long time, and that's and I want to remember that for a long time. That's more importantly, So
dude, of course,
that's the best shows in my opinion. They're more fun. It's more laid back. It's it's not so much if something goes wrong, that's great. You know what I mean? If the CDJ breaks, fuck it. That's hilarious. That's the setting it should happen in. It feels more raw. It feels more organic. It feels more shit. This is real. This is happening right now. Let's feel like a movie. I'm hiding up behind these things, and it goes perfect, and then I go home. You know,
dude, of course. And I think I think it fits what you do. I think that philosophy fits your music really well, and I think it's also you creating the kind of event that you would like to go to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Hearing you talk about going to Movement. Which, by the way, I think it's worth saying, it's cool that you do that at all, because you and I both know so many people in this game who would never go out to something that they weren't playing at this point.
Yeah, and I respect that. I get it from
no, of course.
It's tiring. There's definitely some times where I don't want to go to a show because I just did it 3 weekends in a row. So I'm gonna show this weekend, but I could never I can never not go to see live music. I don't think I could ever not do it. I love going to shows. I go to a lot of shows still. I went to Madion's show in Detroit. I bought tickets. I could have probably gotten listed, but I just wanted to buy tickets.
I love that.
It was with my girlfriend. We were there from 7 p.m. to the end. And I wanted to just be at a show because it's so fun. And
his show's crazy too. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing. And I've seen it 8 times or something like that. But yeah. And going to festivals too. Even when I'm at a festival, playing it, I will try to be there for the weekend if I can. So I want to see if there's other acts that I'm interested in that I love. I'm going to go see them play it because I think it's fun. You can go in the crowd, I can get bombarded, but most people are pretty chill. And I've been around long enough. I know how to if it gets a little unchill, I can handle myself and I can figure it out. But it's people are really nice and respectful too. And everyone's, they come up to me and they say, what up? I know you're trying to enjoy the show. I just want to say hi. And I say, oh, that's great. I love it. Nice to see you. Thanks. And we all can live in the same world. At the end of the day, I'm just a DJ and I love making not trying to downplay it, but I'm not Justin Bieber. I'm not Beyonce. Like, I'm not this like giant person. Like, I'm not going to like my grocery store and everyone's bombarding me. Like, I'm not.
Of
like,
course,
you got to know your place, you know, in a way.
Yeah, but I think also the distinction is that you're still a fan too, you know,
Yeah,
which
of
I think
course.
some people lose that at a certain point. Like, and I think maybe it's because that's the way you started too. Like,
Yeah.
again, when I was listening to our other podcast, you were talking about how you went to see Knife Party
Yeah.
and they were like popping champagne and you got sprayed and like just left being like, that was amazing. You know, it's like such a sweet, innocent story. And I don't know. I think there's something to that you started off really as like a true fan of this and have been able to stay a fan of it even while your career has really taken off and you're, you know, a professional in the industry now, all that kind of thing. There's something to that, man, that I think plays into why a lot of people connect with what you do, because the love is still there, you know?
I think it was the first thing too that I really connected with on like I don't know. I mean, I've always loved video games. It's always been a thing. So that was something I was interested in, but I never, like, when I was in school, I always was into band. I was in band throughout from fourth grade to when I graduated high school. And I played basketball and like, it was cool. Like, you know, everyone has that one thing that they all love, like, right. That they do. Like, some people it's playing football. Some people it's playing baseball. Some people it's like chess club. I don't know, whatever you want to do, whatever piques your interest. But this was the first thing that I was like, that I could latch onto and be like, wow, I really love this. And I would stay up to date. Like, you know, some people stay up to date on sports all the time. Like, that wasn't really me. I just stayed up to date on like, what's the hottest release this week? Or like I love seeing the live clips. I'd follow all my favorite DJs and just like get really inspired, watch any documentary that I could, like, of all those you know, all the videos that like post tour movies and stuff like that. Just to like, I was so amazed by it that someone could do that on like a laptop or, you know, or whatever, and like create a really cool experience and a life for themselves. And I've always been really amazed by that, and I've always loved that. But I just love good music, man. It's, you know just as well as I do. I just, nothing better than you find a song and you're just like, fuck, I'm gonna replay this like 7 times this week.
Yeah,
you know?
No, that feeling never gets old, man.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I still have that too, where it's like, yeah, you know, there are other considerations, business and all that in the mix now, but that's still, when you find that track, that new song, I mean, it's the same feeling as when I was 16, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I remember, you know, just like, I mean, Maddie was a prime example, dude. I mean, when I found when my oldest brother showed me it before, I wasn't even really that. I just started getting electronic music, and I didn't even think he really listened to that stuff. And he showed me Icarus by Maddie, and that was like one of his like second songs he ever put out. I can't remember, but that song was incredible. And I like remember hearing that, and I listened to that song probably like 40 times that day. Like, it's something about finding a good song. It can change your mood. It can inspire you. It just really can do a lot for a human being. So.
Dude, so on that note, I think you had mentioned that, you know, watching some like video game highlight videos or something like that was the first time that you heard Skrillex and got really turned on to the fact that, you could just make this one person software, laptop, like stripped down kind of thing. How surreal is it now to be, you know, flying to London to work with Skrillex, putting songs on his album, he's on your album? I mean, it's got to be an odd moment for the way you started. I
mean, dude, I literally just talked to him today, and it's still like, it's just crazy to like, even, you know, it is a very surreal experience, and I'm not going to like downplay. I'm never going to like be like, oh, that's whatever. Like, no, it's crazy. Like, it's so weird, man. Like, I like you said, like, I mean, from finding Kill Everybody by Skrillex and just being like amazed by that song and all of his work, and literally like following the guy pretty hard. Like, I'd seen him live a couple times in Detroit before I was like a young teenager. I couldn't even drive yet. And like, and to now just being able to like talk to him on FaceTime and like we're really talking about another song I'm working on. And I'm just like, what is happening? I'm like, it's like at the same time, it's so dope because it's like, I feel like I'm talking to someone I've known forever, and it's cool. And like, you know, I honestly didn't like, I never like thought I never even fanboy, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't even like a fanboy or anything. Like, I just like respected him. And I always wanted to give him that respect back. And yeah, it's just crazy being able. I mean, when I went to London, man, for that week, it was like the best week of my life. It was
Well,
so.
wait, let's tell
Yeah,
that story a little. Like,
yeah,
how
of
did
course.
that? I mean, I'm sure you guys started communicating online, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
I like your music, I like your music, whatever. But once it's to the point of you flying out to London, like, how did that come about?
yeah, it's actually a funny story. So we were like, we've talked about it a couple times before that, and he was like, "I would love for you to come out to London. I want to show you my world. Like, it's really dope here. I think you'd really love it and get a lot from it." And I was like, "Dude, I'm so down." And then I heard that we're gonna do this pop-up show in London with me, Flodan, and Skrillex, and that actually fell through at first. It was supposed to. They lost the venue. Something happened. I can't remember what happened. It was like whatever.
Yeah.
And I was in Paris with my girlfriend, and so at this point, I was like, okay, the show's not happening. We're just gonna go home, whatever. And I was out shopping with my girlfriend in Paris, and Sonny FaceTimed me. He goes, "Hey man," he's like, "How's it going? We're catching up," and he was like, "Where are you at right now?" I'm like, "I'm in Paris. I'm still here." And he goes, "Oh, dude," he's like, "Well, you should still come to London. Like, just come for the week and like do the studio." I'm like, "Dude, I would love to. Like, that'd be so fun." And booked flights last minute. Basically, it was really easy to get there. And I mean, the show was 7. We got a new show, and like it worked out. And so literally, I landed that Monday. And it was a Monday night, by the way, we did the show, which was mind blowing. And I landed, and yeah, we were in the studio all day. We went over, and then after the studio, like we went to the Kindred Radio and did the Batters live or Batters Radio set with Sakaria and Skrillex, and everyone that showed up too. It was crazy. It was so cool. And then straight from that, we went to the show, and that was like I wish people could have seen my POV going into that show, because like, I'm sitting in this like sprinter. We're in these like sprinter vans. We're going down like, and I'm just sitting here thinking, this is fucking like a movie right now. It's crazy. And it felt like like the Matrix, when like, I think it's the scene where like Neo goes on like the elevator in the first Matrix, and like, the doors open up and it's like a underground rave.
Yeah.
It kind of felt like that, or it's like, it's all like, you're outside and all of a sudden you're in this like really dark, tight space. And then you walk into this room, and like literally like me, Skrillex and Sakaria, we're like pushing through this like crowd. It was like so packed in there, so loud, but sounded so good at the same time.
Yeah.
And it was just my first London experience. And that show was so crazy. It was so spontaneous. And like, Floden shows up 30 minutes in, he starts emceeing, and so we do Hydrate and Batters. And I don't know, man, it was just like the coolest experience ever. I've never really seen a crowd be that susceptible to what we were doing. And I really learned a lot from that whole week, just sitting. I was in the studio like 8 to 9 hours a day, maybe 12 hours a day. And I made like 8 songs. We worked on a bunch of stuff, and it was just really cool of him to like, he would be there some days, but some days like he'd be in meetings, but he's like, "Yo, just use the space, do whatever you want. Like, I got it for like 24 hours today. Use it." I'm like, that is like, how nice of him, by the way, to like,
I mean, he's the nicest person in dance music. Probably.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Like, really is. And I want to stress it to people too, because like, it's people always say never meet your heroes, but like in this case, I'm glad I met my hero, because because he just really is such a down to earth man. And it's really cool to see someone of his size still be like, I want to make the best song possible, and like not for like anything but for himself. Like, hey, I want to make a song I'm proud of. And the guy just opens up his laptop and just starts working, just like how I do. Like, in the moment, there's no preconceived notion. It's just that,
Well, yeah. I mean, what did you pick up working with him? Did you learn anything, or did you change your way of thinking about anything as far as just making music from sort of that intensive period, like sitting working next to him?
Yeah, I learned a lot, but at the same time, it's like we worked very similarly, honestly, and it's dope to see that. Like, there was a lot of things like, oh yeah, I do like the same thing, and but like it's just cool. Like, I don't know, he really taught me a lot when it comes to like arrangement and also how like really a vocal can really carry a track like in a good way. But yeah, just the way he like lays down stuff, just like I do. We just do it really fast. We're fast. We don't want to like bog down on like one sound for so long. We want to just keep the idea going. We don't care if it's mixed properly. We don't care if it sounds the best. We just want to get the idea down. And I mean, something he does that he told me today that he'll do is he'll open his laptop and he'll work on something for like 30 seconds or a minute and just like sketch it out. And then if he gets something great, then he closes his laptop. He's like, I don't want to listen to it for like another little bit. Like, otherwise he gets, he overworks it. And I think that's great to have that. That's,
wow.
that I don't know, that what's the word? I don't know, like the
Well, it's
resilience to do that or whatever, like to be able to
yeah,
like
yeah,
shut
yeah.
your
Well, that's
laptop,
like it makes me. It's like the idea of like microdosing almost,
Yeah,
where
yeah. And I thought that was an interesting approach. And so yeah, and and also it really made me realize like, I mean, the guy pumps out so much music. I mean, like it's crazy. And I think the reason why he does that is because he travels a lot, and I think traveling is definitely a big part of like making music. Like I going to London and Paris, and I went to Amsterdam for 24 hours, just even doing that, and I wasn't even really doing music stuff 100% of the time, but like just being exposed to different cultures and places that I'm not so comfortable with because that's not my usual spot. It definitely like gives my brain like a break, but also like I take it in subconsciously and I don't even realize it.
oh, dude, you have to. I mean, that's like, yeah,
Yeah.
you gotta. I think that's an issue people run into when they get so focused on what they're doing, where you sort of forget that it's like, well, there has to be fuel for the engine, like the creative engine, And
Yeah.
and I get it, like especially if the project has some success and you're on tour all the time, and then you have to hit a deadline in the couple days you're home or whatever. It can be hard to feel that inspiration, but I think one thing Skrillex has done, certainly, and I feel like you do this to a certain extent too, is, making sure to take time to actually live life once in a while.
Yeah.
Because that's really the only way you're going to ensure that your creativity is going to, stay healthy and thriving.
Yeah. And he definitely does that too. I mean, like after, I mean, I think after we made Batters, we put it out, he took a vacation for himself, just to, like give himself and I do that too. Not even just necessarily a vacation, but I'll sit at home and like hang out and just decompress with my girlfriend and chill out and do whatever. But yeah, I just think, I mean, it's cool to see someone, so active with their production and being able to just like open his laptop and make like the sickest idea in like a minute. And then, I mean, what it realized for me is like, oh, I can do that too. And then, I mean, he stressed on me a lot that like traveling is really big for like making music. It's great. Like, and I definitely realized like, it's like one of my favorite moments in London. I want to tell the story. It's really cool. So I think it was like my second second to last day in London. We were at the studios, and I don't know if are you familiar with the How to Dream? Have you seen his stuff before?
Oh yeah. He's great.
Yeah, he's amazing. That was the first time I met him in London. I met him. I mean, we didn't really talk, but he came in the studio with Sonny and I, and he was just showing us all this new stuff, and it was so cool. There's like this house. It's like houses, but has all these like cultural influences in it. And it's really cool, and so I met him and we were all chilling. And then the next day, I came in the studio early in the morning, and Ahad came in, and I just, second time I ever hung out with this guy. And I was like, oh, what's up, man? He's hey, is Sonny here? I'm like, oh no, he's like, I think he's in a meeting right now, but I'm just here working. Just you can chill if you want. Like, all right, cool. And he's like, he sits down and do you mind if I like show you some stuff? I'm like, dude, fuck it. Yeah, show me whatever you got. I'd love to hear it. And so cool. And then, I've only known this guy for less than 24 hours. And then he goes, I was like, do you want to like make a song right now? Like, I'm just feeling it. We're in this amazing studio. We have all the tools to our disposal. Why don't we just make a song? And so we made a song. We sampled this like really beautiful, like Indian vocal track or something. I can't remember what it was called exactly, but we had like a 3-4 hour session, and we made a really cool track, and it was so effortless. And that just kind of shows that like, you don't really need to know someone that well to make something so cool. And it was just a really cool experience. And then the next day he came in again, and this guy Bright, he's this amazing rapper. I think he's from Ghana, Africa, and he lives in London now. And he is just an incredible, like, he's such a nice guy, big personality, like comes in with a big smile, super stoked to meet me. And so he came in, I showed him this beat I was working on, and he immediately runs to the vocal booth. And like I said, I met this guy for not even 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And he just starts going off. And Ahad's helped me like write some lyrics down. And like, he's like, and we're just vibing in the studio. We made this really cool song I'm really proud of. It was one of those sessions where like you listen to it like 6 times, like you just blasted. That was the session. And like, that was really cool. And that's my favorite part about traveling, is meeting people like that who are also interested in what you like to do and creating something really spontaneous and cool from that, and that was something I really learned from being in London. It's just there's
I love
so
that,
many,
man.
you know.
Well, and
Yeah.
that's almost like the human equivalent of that like 60-second laptop exercise you were talking about with
Yeah.
Skrillex, right? Where it's like you don't spend that much time like just sitting down with somebody. It's more just like, you know, like figure out their vibe and then just immediately jump into something
Yeah.
and see
Exactly.
where it goes. I like that a lot, man. I mean, I
Yeah.
feel like just watching like the speed of Sonny's life and kind of the rhythms of like how he does what he does. That's got to be something too, because obviously he's like one of the most famous people in existence, which is just a bizarre thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know for you. I mean, your career is also getting bigger and bigger. You've got billboards for your album. You know, it's like things are happening that weren't happening before. Is there any part of that you took from that? Because, you know, again, I think you're, like we were saying, someone who's very good at sort of staying close to the roots of it, close to what's important, friends and family, and just doing good work and all that. But I think doing that gets harder as more success comes into it.
Yeah, it definitely does get harder. Like I'm glad you said that. I mean, it definitely, like I've always tried to be very humble, and like I know how it can be when, like, you know, you start getting bigger and bigger, and like some friends, you know, like that I talk to, you know, there's some people that stick around. Some I've definitely had some people in my life who just can't handle that, and they like think that I'm like, it's not. I don't know. It's not even. I'm not even trying to like say anything bad. It's just, sometimes people can get jealous, or it's like, but it's like, I don't know. I think it's cool. I love what I'm doing. I'm very just more or less proud of myself. You know, like I should be. I should feel very proud. I'm proud of what I'm doing. I'm proud of what my friends are doing too. Like my friends are doing amazing things, and like I just want to like the number one thing I want to do is whenever I see a billboard, like especially that billboard that we had in Detroit. Like I thought that was so cool because I used to, you know, go downtown Detroit in that same freeway. I would go with my dad sometimes when I was little to go with him to rehearsal at the symphony, and I would see that venue, Russell Industrial, and like having that billboard up there, I want that to like inspire people, because I want people to realize, I think a lot of people, what they fail to realize sometimes, that they think that everything is just like handed to us. Like they're like, oh, of course he's got a billboard, or of course, you know, or of course he's got, you know, not saying that anyone has said that, but like there's probably some people, and like they think that like this is like an overnight success, right? I've been doing this. I've been making music since 2012. That's when I started. Right. Or maybe 2011. Whatever.
Sure.
So obviously it's not been quick. Like it's definitely not been quick. I mean, the first real show I got was in 2018. That's like 6 to 7 years of producing before I even got that, you know, and that wasn't even, you know, and here we are in 2023. I'm still growing. I'm not at their level. I want to, you know, I can say I've made it or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I just want to inspire people, because like I literally turned this from nothing into something. And I think that like, that's kind of cool. And I, you know, I remember like not knowing anything about making music. And here I am talking about my debut album with you, and like, and like working with Skrillex, and like, and everyone that I've ever worked with, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
And that's what I want people to realize. Like, I'm never trying to like showboat. I'm never trying to like, I'm not that person at all. Like, I'm just trying to, I treat everyone like as a human being, especially when I'm at a show too. Like, I don't want to talk about music. I don't really want, I mean, I'll talk about music here and there, but you know what I'm saying? I don't want to talk about all the things I'm doing. I don't want to be about me. I want to just hang out and like, just like, yeah, like, and I want to inspire people. I want people to be like, okay, well, maybe one day you want a billboard up there. Like, you can do it. You easily could. Like, just work hard and do, and put the effort in, and, you know, and I hope I'm not rambling, but I hope that makes sense. You know?
That makes total sense, man. Cause I think that the thing people get caught up on, and everyone does at some point, but some people I think never get out of this, is like, looking at sort of the flash of the social media posts and the crazy videos, and sort of thinking that like, that there's easy paths to get to those things, and that what we see on social media or those videos or whatever, that's the important part. Which it's very much not the important part. And that, I think, at least that's what I'm taking out of what you said too, is like, it's really about the fundamentals of it. And it's really about it's self-improvement, and it's about practice, and all the boring fundamental stuff like that is actually the point of it. It's actually about following your real passions, and all the other stuff, the flash, the cryo, the whatever, doing a show with Skrillex, whatever it is, like those are bonuses. Like all that stuff's going to come if you do the other stuff the right way.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And just, And I mean, at the heart, and you know, for me, when I first started, ever since my first EP, my managers and I have talked about this, and my managers are my best friends, my brothers. And like, you know, they've really been there for me and really helped me deal with, 'cause I mean, I'm not trying to like have an ego or anything. I blew up pretty fast. Like when I started, like, a lot faster than most people, especially most dubstep acts. And that was hard to deal with because like, you kind of get gradually into this and it slowly builds. I feel like it kind of just went like this, and it was really hard to deal with at first. And my managers really were there for me and try to help me control it all and like help me through a lot of these things and teach me a lot and make sure I didn't like let it get to my head or like, you know what I mean? And I think that was a big part of it too. And, you know, definitely at this point, it's definitely hard some days, like, especially when you're like out at a show and someone is like, you know, someone who comes up to you who has no interest in getting to know you at all. They know who you are and what you can offer them. And I always treat people with respect, always. But when I start feeling like a product to somebody, really makes me mad. And like, and not even really mad. It's kind of hurtful because like, people need to realize too, this is a good, like, kind of, you know, bouncing back to what you're saying, you know, I think people have to realize as DJs, like, it's like, you know, you see us like on social media, how we think it's the most important thing. It's like, we're just people. Like you and I are having a conversation right now. We're just people. We're regular people that happen to have a following. And like, we've all been there. I started off it's, I don't know. I could go talk about it for hours, but I want people to realize that, like, you know, we're chill.
Yeah. No,
you know
for
what I
sure.
mean? Yeah.
And just like, it's, again, it sounds like the simplest thing in the world, but it's hard for some people to understand in the moment because whatever, you get excited or you want something from somebody, but it's like, you have to, every interaction has to be based in humanity. You know what I mean? Like everything should be a natural human interaction on both sides of the coin, right? Like also you don't want, some asshole artist to like big time you. That's just as bad.
Yeah.
But you know, to me, it's like, all the rest of it is just weird societal structures that we've built around fame and celebrity. And, you know, to be fair, like, it's tough when you're starting off. Of course, you know, maybe you don't have a lot of money, or maybe you feel rejected or whatever it is. So those are tough feelings to deal with too. I get it. But it doesn't matter, because if you don't approach things from the human angle, from building an actual relationship with somebody, it's just not going to work. That's like the only way it works, you know?
Yeah, and that's definitely a big part of it too, about the connections and meeting new people. But you just gotta be normal, be a regular person, be yourself. Like, don't have any preconceived notions. Just be, you know, we're all people. We're all living in the same world. We're all trying to get somewhere and do something. But yeah, I think that's a great point.
And okay, last thought on this, because you just made me think of this too. You know, you were talking about how, you know, some people had a longer road. For you, it took off quickly. And of course, everybody's path is different, but I think it's worth saying too, and I don't say this to bum anyone out, but it's like, it's also not, success is not guaranteed. Like, it is, there has to be a certain level of understanding jumping into this industry where, like, you can, I hate to say it, but you can work really hard and you can be good, and it still might not work, at least for a long time. Like that. It is a possibility. And I don't say that to bum anyone out, but I say it more to be like, you're not owed anything in this game.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
And so it really, you have to really do it because you love doing it. I guess that's the point I'm trying to make. Not because you want something out of it, you know?
Yeah, like, you're not owed anything. And it's also, I remember I was going to add on that.
No,
I
it's
had
all
a
good.
sentence
Yeah,
in
I
my
do
head,
that
but
all the time.
yeah, I had a sentence in my head, and it just completely went away.
Dude,
But
yeah, happens to me all the time. But I
yeah,
did want to, before we wrap it up, man, just to talk about the album a little more
yeah.
specifically. You know, you mentioned that track you did with your dad, that album. And that it's definitely one of my favorites, if not my favorite on the. It's just a great
Thank you.
track that feels like genreless. It feels progressive in the sense of like a new thing, a new flip on a sound. But it's got to be a cool moment for you to. I mean, I'm sure your dad has always been supportive of what you do, but to really, in a more concrete way, like close the gap generationally with your dad, who's also a professional musician. I mean, what was that like? Was that as crazy as it seems like on paper?
Yeah, I mean, it was such a cool like process, and my dad. It's actually funny. Before that song, my dad and I have actually made like two other songs with each other, but it was like my early stages of producing, so they weren't really like amazing. Like they weren't really great production, but they're cool. It was cool that my dad want to record on it. He's always down. And it's funny, my dad has like a nicer studio than me. Like his studio is like in his house. It's like so many racks of equipment and like just it's just clean and organized.
Of course.
But
well, he's from that generation too.
Yeah.
That was like almost a requirement.
Yeah. Yeah. And like he's, and so like when I made that song, I had that whole idea down. I had like the sample. Excuse me.
No, you're good, man.
I had the sample. I had like the basis of the song, like the beat, the drop, whatever, and I just could hear my dad on it because it had this like R&B influence on it. I just had this idea. I was like, I need the trumpet. I remember fucking with trumpet samples. I was like on Spice. I was like, what am I doing? My dad's a trumpet player. Like, so I had my dad. I was like, Dad, I have the song. I'd love if you did a solo on it. Here's the key. Here's the BPM. Do whatever you want. And he's like, yeah, man, I got you. And he literally did it so quick. I think it took him like a day just to like, and he sent me like 6 different takes. And wow. I told him I wanted him to have a harmony mute in his trumpet. And for those who don't know, a harmony mute's it's something you put in the bell of your trumpet. It's made out of like it's metal or like aluminum or whatever you want to call it.
Copper, maybe.
Copper, yeah. And it makes it like that. It gives it like that tinny, like old 1940s noir sound. And I just loved harmony mutes when I played trumpet. And I think it was perfect for it. And hard to mix, though, I'll tell you that.
I bet.
So right. You should see the EQ curve on it.
Dude, I didn't think about that, but yeah, you're totally right.
Yeah, it was hard because my dad records on a really bright microphone. So I had to do a lot of like shelving and all this just to make it so it wasn't like piercing into his ears, because I didn't want it to be too, but it actually worked out really well. And yeah, my dad crushed it. And at first he was actually like the second, it was the B section of the first shots where I had him at. And then I was sitting there, I was like, I want him to be the second drop. I want him to be like the main focus, kind of like a true like rock and roll, or like, you get the solo and like the second chorus, right? And like I thought it was a perfect progression. And yeah, I mean the way he just goes for like 16 or what is it, 16 bars, 32 bars, just crushes it. And I think it just really ended the song perfectly. And my dad was just a badass doing it. And it was really cool to be able to work with my dad on that. And it's a cool story. And my dad's always been, I mean, I think without my dad, my dad was like, he's what got me in music. It's like, he was a musician in the family. And I was always so amazed by my dad playing trumpet in the studio and like just seeing that. And once I started learning how to play instruments, I got into music because of that. Cause I loved learning instruments. I loved learning new pieces of music. And that's how it all happened. So it's a very full circle moment, and to be able to have him on my first debut album is really special. And I brought him out to play it live at Mission Ballroom in Denver, and it was amazing. I sobbed, I cried. It was crazy.
Man, that's a beautiful moment.
Yeah, he was so funny. He was all dressed out, he was all dimed. I polished my trumpet too. It was all shiny, and yeah,
that's great. Yeah. Well, it must have been fun for him too. Not that I'm sure he's seen you play before and is familiar with the world, but it's probably a little different for him actually being on stage playing.
Oh yeah, he said it was his best moment of his life. He was like, he's playing the symphony, he's played for thousands of people every week, but like for that moment for him to be like the spotlight, or it's him, he's playing in front of like 5,000 people, and he literally was like so happy with how, and he crushed it. He literally sounded like the final recording. It was crazy.
Oh, I'm sure.
My stepmom was there too, and she was like, she always sounded like, you don't know how happy that made your dad. Like, he was so he literally could not get over that he just did that. And I thought it was, I'm really glad we could share that moment, and we got an amazing picture together. And I'm really happy that we were able to make that song. It's one of my favorite songs I've ever made, for sure.
Dude, yeah. Well, that's the other thing is, I mean, beyond sort of all of the beautiful imagery of like you working with your dad and connecting across generations and all that, the song itself, I mean, I think I said this a second ago, but it, to me, really did feel like an evolution, or like it felt like something I really actually hadn't heard before.
Yeah.
And that is just an exciting thing, like that doesn't happen a lot for someone who listens to a lot of dance music, as you and I both do, and makes a bunch of dance music too. Like, I don't know, it felt different to me just on the sonic side too,
That was the goal too. Like, I wanted that track to, like, I didn't want every track to be like something you could play out live and it'd be like the craziest energy. I mean, I've been ending all my sets with the song My Dags. I think it's the perfect way to end a set, honestly. But yeah, that track, I wanted to still sound like me, but after I did Here With Me, which was kind of like the first track that I ever did that was like melodic in a way.
Right.
It felt good. Like, everyone was, it's my best stream track. It's been very well received. And like, I realized, maybe I should do more melodic stuff. Like, why not? Like, and that track was like great representation of me and my dad, because it was still me, electronic. It was me with the R&B feel, and my dad just really polished it off with his like jazz, like trumpet solo, and like it felt very 100% organic. And that was that track.
Yeah, no, I love that, man. And that noir feeling you were talking about, even just dipping into that vibe, I think is sort of unheard of for the kind of music we do, And so just having the idea to do that, just to make that point, I think for producers, it really can be as simple as like figuring out putting two things together that don't usually go together. Like, as simple and as dumb as that sounds. Like, that is how music moves forward sometimes.
And two things that don't go together. But I also liked how that track has like so much emotion behind it. Like, I listened to that. I'm not kidding you, man. Like, when I listened to that song after I finally got my dad's like trumpet mixed down, and I got the whole mix down. Every time I listened to that song, I literally would cry. Like, I don't know, I just would get like a teary, not like sobbing, but I would like I get a tear because I was it was very like emotional. And also, I feel like the song kind of has like this like hidden message behind it. It's called "You Got Me," and it's kind of almost like you're telling your significant other, like, hey, you got me. And it's kind of like this big ballad. Like, it's got this big trumpet solo, makes you feel good. And it makes you feel like it's just very, like, a very happy and a warming song. I think that was almost unintentional to capture,
Yeah. No, I love that, man. And that's one of my favorite things about dance music in general. Some of my favorite dance music isn't the anthem vocal. It's, those little snippets that kind of let you fill in the rest of the story.
Yeah.
And, if the music is emotional enough or connects with you enough that you can kind of fill in the blanks, that's something I think that is really unique to dance music. It's one of my favorite things when it's done right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. I love that. I mean, how do you... with the batters there, like, how did you and Sonny decide this song is for my album, this song is for your album? How did that happen?
Honestly, it really wasn't any discussion. It was just kind of like everyone was cool with it, and I was like, okay, cool. I just, I felt like it was a great title track for my album, just like the first one. I wanted that. It's like that was a track I was really proud of, and me, G-Rex, and Float. It was just a really cool how it all came about, and like. It really fit the sound of my album, and I just wanted to like be the first track on the album because we just put it out, and like I was like, I really wanted to set the tone. Like, this is the tone, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is something you haven't heard before, and that's going to be the rest of the playlist. And like, yeah, everyone was super down with it, and like I was really, really thankful for everyone to be like super down with it. And yeah, that was really nothing more to it. It was just simple, like, hey, can I do this? And I was like, yeah, sure. And we're like, cool. Perfect. It was like, it was like, why not? Like, because like Sonny's a really big believer on having like tracks be on multiple projects, like, you know, like with Supersonic for example, that was on his album, and I think it was on Noise's album too.
It was, yeah.
So like, and his ideology is like, well, who cares? The only people that care are labels. Like, that's the only people who care, because they just want the money. But like, sometimes like, why can't we just have that track exist in multiple spaces where you get you get other listeners who don't know who you are or something, you know. Like Justin Bieber, same thing. Like, Where Are You Now was on 2 different projects too, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And so like, and he's like, why not? It's having it in multiple spaces. It belongs on his projects. It belongs on mine. So like, honestly, if I don't know if it's good, but if Sonny wants to put it on another project of his, bad, like, do it. Like, I don't care if Floating wants to, you know, it's like, I don't really care either. And it's a cool way to approach it, because it takes a lot of stress off. And it's also like, it's all of our songs. So it belongs everywhere that, you know.
Dude, yeah, I love that, because that's taking the ego out of it, first of all. But then it's also such an inclusive spirit of like, yeah, we all made this together. So, you know, it
gives it extra limelight, gives it more. Because maybe, I guarantee you, people who maybe have just discovered me, go to my album and they hear that as the first song, and damn, what is this? And maybe they've never even heard it before. And that just gives you a new listener, you know?
Dude, 100%. And I bet there's at least there has to be one who is going to find out about Skrillex from you.
Yeah.
There's got to be one person.
Yeah, who's this up and comer guy? Who's Skrillex? Who's Skrillex? Yeah, who's that?
He's like, wow, this guy. I see big things for this guy.
Yeah. That's good on PEEKABOO. Good on PEEKABOO.
Have you guys heard of Skrillex? Yeah.
Oh my god.
It does seem. I will say though, there's the track "Don't Wanna" on there too. That's like a bit more UKG influenced. Have you been listening to more UK stuff in general?
Oh yeah, man. I mean, so honestly, where I got that inspiration from is, I stopped doing them now this year because I just put my album out, but I always did my annual Halloween mixes, the hide and seek mixes. And those are always like, you know, very underground sound. As I was track hunting, I really got into UKG stuff because like, I love like the melodic aspect of it. It kind of reminds you of house, but the more groove to it. And if I felt like I could really do something like that, because the drums are very like, oh, I could do that. That's kind of my style. And I go on like the Beatport section and the UK breaks and beats, or whatever, the garage play, you know, charts. And I always find some crazy songs on there, because like they're not known here. Like those are like being sold in the UK. So I always go through there and I find a lot of cool songs I'll add in my sets and stuff. And and that's how I just wanted to like try doing that kind of style. And that song came out really fast. It was like a one session, just sitting there for like a couple hours and just really nailing it down with that vocal sample. And I'm really proud of that song. It's very vibey and very like, I mean, it's not supposed to be super energetic. It's supposed to be just like a nice little head nod you can put on. And also has that classic rock fade out at the end, which I don't know if people have noticed that. I thought that would be really cool to end the album, like just to have the nice fade out.
I didn't even notice, but that's great.
Yeah, at the end of the song, like I was sitting there, I'm in the studio, and I was with my manager, and I was just like, so what if I just like faded out the track, like you know, like the old style where they just ride the fader in the studio and recorded that in. Obviously, I automated it, but like I thought it was perfect. I'm like, I do
like that. Those are fun little details. You know what song does that I just noticed that I never noticed before is Beyonce and Jay-Z, "Crazy in Love."
It does do that.
Dude, they fade it out at the end. They just like loop the chorus and it just slowly fades.
Yeah.
And I just heard that the other day. I was like, I never noticed that. What a crazy choice for like a big pop record.
Yeah, they're back, man.
Yeah.
They're back. Let's bring
them back, man. Yeah.
Fuck impacts at the end and reverb down. No, we're doing fade outs.
I love it, man. I love it. Yeah. Well, because it's a funny thing with dance music. A lot of it is music that's, you know, really going to be presented in a mixed form when you hear it at a show. So like the idea of the intro or the outro for a song, don't get me wrong, there are cool ways to do it, and some people do it in artistic, interesting ways, but also it's kind of bullshit, you know? Like it kind of doesn't matter.
No, it's all, you know, especially when it's being DJ'd, it's like, it's not really like, you're not really, you know, especially with electronic music, a lot of people try to make their music to be DJable, which is cool. I mean, that's smart. I mean, I definitely, you know, you have a structure, you know, intro, build, drop, you know, whatever. I definitely try to do that sometimes, but it's never like the main objective. Like if I want to do that, sure. But like, fade outs are cool. It makes it feel more like make a song, it's like, so my favorite songs, like AC/DC and Van Halen, they have fade outs all the time. And that shit's sick. Like,
oh,
it's
dude.
Cool. It feels like, the end of a music video. It feels like the end of something. Like, and it's very like it's very impactful, even though it gets quieter and quieter. It just really is
it's
a nice
cinematic in a way. Yeah, it's you're sort of riding off into the sunset with them.
Yeah, like, of course.
Yeah. I love that, man. Well, dude, I mean, what else is coming up for you? Are you touring pretty heavy on the album right now?
Yeah, not heavy. But I'm doing 4 shows. Austin, Chicago, Detroit, and oh my gosh, there's one more. I'm like blanking right now. My schedule has been all over, dude.
Dude, of course.
I gotta look it up. Just I gotta do it one. It's gonna drive me nuts if I forget.
Some other shithole.
Hold on. I'm gonna get the answer here because Chicago, Detroit, Austin, and what was the other one? Oh, I guess Def was the other one.
Oh, okay. Right. The one that happened. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, got something announcing pretty soon, I think, about maybe a tour.
Maybe something a little more extensive.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wink, wink. But definitely going to be, doing something. But for right now, I'm just finishing up the year with some festival. Like I think I have one festival, Apocalypse Festival in Long Beach, and then I got New Year's and stuff in Dallas for Lights All Night. So I'm just kind of finish up the year. But basically, these next 3 shows in Austin, Chicago, and Detroit are going to be basically like the start of this album. It's kind of like starting the tour of the album, and I'm doing some really cool production for it. Very minimal. And I think it's gonna be really cool. And I don't want to give too much away, but it's gonna be a little interactive in a way for the fans. I think they're gonna I'm really hoping it works out. I think it's gonna be really cool. I'm trying something very different. And I'm just really stoked. And I mean, the whole vibe too for these next 3 shows too. I think we're trying to do. I'm trying to I do my set for like an hour and a half, whatever, and then I want to do like an hour after that with a back-to-back with everyone on the lineup.
Nice.
Because, after doing that with like Sicaria and Skrillex, like in London, I kind of like that vibe of like everyone getting together on the decks and just kind of like having fun. And because there was no pre-planned, it was just like play whatever we want. And I kind of like that. And I want to do that for my tours. You definitely see some like family back-to-backs after people's tours and stuff. I want to make that like a thing after every show where like, it's not just about me. Like, I do my hour set. You still get my set. But I think it'd be a nice touch at every single show to have just the lineup just come out and like, hey, here's everyone. Here's all these dope people. They're going to play you stuff they didn't play during their sets. If they want to test out something new or, and it's more just a more relaxed environment.
Well, dude, and that is back to that human relationship element we were talking about before of kind of, we're all here for the same reason. These other people are on the lineup because I also think they're very talented, et cetera, et cetera. And like, I think you'll understand this in the way that I mean it, but it's like, fuck PEEKABOO, the concept where it's like, no, like we're all here for the same reason.
Yes.
Let's show people that,
Yeah. And it's just fun too. Like I just love DJing back to back with people I really believe in and especially my friends. And like, I love that like spontaneous, anything goes kind of thing. And it's just gonna be fun, man. It's something different. And, I toured really hard the past couple of years on my other tours because I was just trying, hitting the markets and trying to get, make sure everyone's included. And this year, like in this next year, like it's going to be a lot, but it's not as much as before. And I'm really excited for that because I feel like it gives me a little more chance to like focus in on each show and make each one like really good production wise and special. And also get more sleep.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask, man, you do it, you staying healthy, you staying happy, all that while all this craziness is going on.
Yeah. I've been actually this week, I've been trying to like get into a routine again. I do Orange Theory now, which is really, really nice. I really enjoy it. I've been slacking the past month or two because I've just been, on the road and stuff, but like I've gone 2 days in a row this past day. I went this morning and yesterday morning. And I'm just trying to like get more active in the morning and just like, and it feels really good to like do that. And I'm trying. The next step is to like use the hotel gym or do Orange Theory in another city. It's hard when I like am so tired, but I need to like start just doing it because I know it's going to be beneficial.
Yeah, that is a tough one.
Yeah, I exercise. I mean, now that I've been exercising these past, it's more. I just really realize how much, like, how really good it is for mental health, and just makes you feel like you're, you're just doing something good for yourself. And
dude, absolutely,
trying to just rest up as much, and I've always taken really good care of myself too when I'm on the road. Like, I don't like party hard. I don't like. I really like my ideal night after a show is like, I'll have some drinks with some friends after the show. I like to be in my hotel bed with like my handheld like video game shit, or like or working on music, Netflix, and just pass out and make sure I get my hours of sleep. That's really important. Like,
what games are you playing right now?
Oh man, a lot of people are gonna be like, oh, why? I just started getting into Destiny 2.
Okay.
I just started playing because I've never really dove into it. And I know there's a lot of negative things about it because everyone's like, oh, well, it's just, you have to buy all the DLCs. I was like, yeah, it's pretty fun.
Dude, I tried it for a minute and I feel like I didn't give it enough of a chance to really get the flavor. But yeah, man, I mean, a lot of people like it.
It's a fun MMO. I just love shooting things and seeing a bunch of damage numbers pop up. It's like dopamine.
Oh yeah, dude.
But I've been playing that. I've been playing a lot of Ghost of Tsushima on PS5. It's a beautiful
someone
game.
was telling me about that.
Yeah, I'd never played it. That game, so good. They like upscaled it and remastered it for PS5 basically, and it's like, oh my god, beautiful game. Just a lot more single player stuff, and just MMOs, just like that. Like Destiny 2 has really been my thing. But yeah, more single player games. I was really into competitive shooters and stuff like that. Like I was into Counter-Strike and COD and stuff, but
right.
I don't know. I'm getting older, man. It's like, I can't do shows for the weekend and then come back and then just get destroyed by some like 10-year-old. It is so dehumanizing. And it's also, it's like, I'm like, God, this is even fun. Like, I just want to play a game where I can just like chill, like smoke a joint, just like, I like Stardew Valley, like love those kind of games. Like just like cozy games, like really into that chill gamer vibe right now.
Dude, I mean, I think it makes sense that, you'd come back from a weekend of shows and not want a 10-year-old yelling at you,
Yeah, just like sly cans and just like jumping, like 360 and like one tapping you. And I'm just like, I just got home. I'm
God damn it. Yeah. I've been, I don't know if you get into these, but I've been doing a lot of Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah, I bought that game. I started it and I really did enjoy it. But like my attention span, I don't know, something about turn-based games I just couldn't really like get into.
Oh, for the combat, yeah.
Yeah, that game, I will say, like, I'm not gonna like let that ruin the game. That game is incredible. Like I see what it is. I see like really cool game, dude. Like I wish I should give it another go. I think I should give it another chance, to be honest. But yeah, I just like the turn-based is really tough for me. But
no, dude, I get it. I get it. I mean, there's lots of, I'm a very specific type of gamer too. Yeah. So I get it. But, and also you don't need to play Baldur's Gate 3 because it's hundreds of hours of gameplay. It's way too much.
Yeah. It's insane. Yeah. I put 10 hours in the game and I was like, this is crazy. You're like,
dude, yeah, I know it's a problem in my life. You don't need it.
Yeah. I have way too many games where I've like sunk many hours into, but like, honestly, gaming is a big part for like decompressing for me. And like, I like playing games with my friends too, because it's like, it's fun. It gets my mind off of like, music, social media. I just get to get entrapped into a game. Because also I like video games because like, it's an art form. Like it's literally like people have created this. It's really beautiful things like they can do to it. And I love story games. It's like, I just respect it for like the art form that it is. Cause I don't think people realize that when they're like playing COD, they just plug in their console play and they just, they go to bed. I like these games. I appreciate that people like spent thousands of hours and years like working on these games for us to play. I think it's like really a cool, I mean, I just want to know how they do it. You know what I mean?
Oh man. I mean, it's the craziest collab of all time, right? It's like, look at it. We're so cute with our little albums, but like a video game is insane. Like you said, it's a team of hundreds of people working thousands of hours. Yeah. It's a whole different beast, man.
Yeah. And it's cool seeing like gaming and music really collide too. Like I think it's great. Like I mean, I'm friends with a lot of professional gamers now. Like I mean, some Twitch gamers that I like I've been fans of for a while, and and I meet them in person. I'm like, wait, what the hell are you doing here? Like, oh, I love electronic music. It's like, well, I love your channel. Like, and it's like cool. Like, it's cool seeing that like combine, and it really works well and complements each other really well. You know?
Yeah, no, there's definite synergy there, man. There's something similar in the brain. And how are you? I mean, this is another thing we can end after this, but I'm just curious. I was looking at your social media too, and I feel like you've always been pretty good, at least from an outside perspective, of like you have a good social media presence, but it's not crazy and it's not overblown, but it does seem to work pretty well. And I wanted to ask you about threading that needle, because I think there's such a mentality, so many people, whether it's labels or managers or whoever, that really focus on that. It's like, that's all people want is more socials, more posts, more content. How have you been able to sort of thread the needle for that? Like still do what you need to do, but not, kill yourself, not hate yourself, any of that.
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah. Like, I think, I mean, dude, social media for me has always been really hard. I feel like for a while, because I mean, there's definitely times where I tried to like post a lot, and I was always so worried all the time about like my posts. And then I realized like, okay, like I can't really live my life like that. Like I don't really like to, I mean, I'm on social media every day. Don't get me wrong. I'm always on it, but I also don't really post everything all the time. Like I'm not like, when I go to shows, or I mean, a lot of times I'm at my own show. I don't really post that much on stories unless I like, do I want to do something funny, or like, if I just feel like it. I'm more in the moment with my stories. I'm not trying to force content. And, I feel like a lot of times it's kind of easy to try to become like an influencer with that, or you try to force things every day. Like, oh, I need to make a post every day. It's like, you don't really need to. Like, I mean, it's just for this rebrand too, that I've kind of been doing. Like, I'm trying to make the page a little more sense. We wiped all of it. With this, now the album's out, all the new stuff, we make it look really clean. And so that in this nice light green color palette. And so like now, like, if you see that color, I want people to be like, oh, that's a PEEKABOO post, And I mean, also one of the biggest influences I've seen on social media is like Fred again, like Skrillex. Like I love how organic their posts are. And it's always like, it's not even like, most people are like posting their album art, or they're posting show clips, which I still do. But in my show clips, I like to like just like include little taste of my life. Like if it's a dumb picture of me, or if it's like me popping a bottle of champagne, or if it's me like, I don't know, just doing something different or dumb. Like, like I like showing more of just who I am as myself, less than like a product, and I think having that like organic, just being like we said in the beginning of this podcast, it's like being yourself. And I try to do that still with my social media always. But I also want to make cool content too. Like, we did like the cool little like chain link fence that we went through, and like did this whole, I like doing different things like that. That was more like a practical thing where we literally set up a projector and projected it on a chain link curtain, like literally a curtain full of chain links. And so instead of like doing it in post and like doing editing, which is cool, I love that. But like, I think it was cool to just do more practical stuff. Like in my new tour poster that you've probably have seen, is literally my face projected onto my face. And that was a real thing. Like I literally stood in front of a projector bulb and just had it like, it was so hard to line it up. And I worked with those amazing people. And like, I was like getting blind at the end of it, but it was so fun. Like I loved it. It felt so hands-on. Like I want to do like more photo shoots like that.
Dude, I love practical effects just in general. Fun.
Yeah. Like it's cool because when you get that like look that you're looking for and you didn't do it with a computer, like it's so rewarding. It's really cool.
Dude, yeah, there's something about the physicality of it that just makes it feel different and unique. And I love it, man.
Yeah, and so that's my approach. And that's not to be everybody's approach. Like that's just what I like to do and what I'm into. And so, but yeah, I just I don't know. It's also tough too when you're with a bunch of other, you're being compared with a bunch of other artists in the same, who are doing like the same similar pose. You want to stand out a little bit, and what better way to stand out than just being yourself with your posts? Like even if it means like, okay, yeah, I'll post a show clip and stuff, but like sprinkle in some like of your own shit. Like if like you, I don't know, sitting on the couch like this. I don't know, like just dumb shit, like just like stuff that I just do in my free time. I take a lot of photos on my camera that aren't even intended for a post at that moment. But then I'm going through my camera. I'm like, that's a funny picture. Like that was kind of a hilarious moment. And it may not make sense to somebody, but like it makes them like, I wonder what he was doing at that point. Or, it makes people ask questions. And also it's like, it's funny. It's him,
Yeah. And don't overthink it too, is what I think I'm hearing you say. It's just like, do it. If you're feeling it, do it. If you're not feeling it, don't do it. And because that's, I think what I'm more sick of with social media is when it just feels like somebody's trying to feed the machine.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like forcing it. And it's nothing like, it's not like, I mean, I'm sure they don't mean it in any intent like that, but like it definitely, people just think that they have to constantly do it and constantly push it down your throat. And it's like, no, man, it's like you can just like, make a great song, just be yourself at the end of the day. And yeah, like exactly what you said, don't overthink it. Like it doesn't have to be this elaborate, like high production post. Like it can be as stupid as I love like carousel posts. Like I said, like we're just a bunch of different shit.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like what it reminds me, it's like, it sounds kind of stupid, but it's like, it's why I love the show like Robot Chicken, right? Or it's like, there's like a different, like every episode is like, it's not like about one thing. It's about like 18 different things and it keeps you entertained. It's kind of the same thing with a post where if I sat there and scrolled through 4 live clips, it's like, okay, like, I mean, that's cool. But like, live clip, funny picture. That's kind of, it's kind of like, what am I going to get this week? It's kind of like
little short stories. I'm with you, man. I feel it. And I'm glad you said that too, that, you don't have to do it, which is another, like, because I think something I hear from a lot of young artists is, the first thing labels want to know is like, well, what's your social media presence? Yeah. How are we going to, what kind of posts are we going to make? How are you going to try to go viral? All that sort of thing. Which, again, I get it, but I think it's very important to hear someone in your position telling those people where it's like, people may want that from you, but that does not mean you have to do that,
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and I get it. It's, I mean, not to even downplay social media, like it's definitely a big part of this for sure. But like, there's a way, I think DJs and artists just in general get so bogged down by it because they like, they're not an influencer. They're not a business person. They don't care about it because they just want to make music. But there's a way to like have fun with it too. Like it doesn't have to be this like intimidating like mortal enemy. Like there's a way to make social media fun. Like my story poster, every time I post on my story, it's something hilarious or I think is stupidly funny. It's just like you can have fun with it and just and be organic. Like talk to your followers too. Like, I love going on live on Instagram. I love doing like Q&A. I love Q&As. I love just answering questions to people because it's fun. Like I get to give some insight on things and I like being interactive with my fans and trying to like, I want them to feel like that I'm also like their friend too. Like I don't want to be like this guy hiding behind the computer. Like I want to like, if you supported me, like I fuck with that. So I will talk to you. There's many people fans that I've met over the years that I'm like friends with now, like very close friends,
It's all just like, I guess it's what we started off talking about when we were talking about your album and your style and all that. It's like, you just play your game. Don't play somebody else's game. Yeah. And, as you go through a career like this, of course, there are going to be people who want certain parts of your identity or have an opinion about the way that you do things or how you should do things. And, sure, it's good to listen to people's ideas and to be open, but at the end of the day, you have to do you, and it's, I don't know. I feel like a lot of the things I'm saying today is like things we all know, but then it's easy to forget in the moment.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, dude, this has been great. I don't know that I have too much more, man. Is there anything else on your mind? Anything else we should get out there?
Is there anything else on my mind?
It's great to talk to you, man.
But
yeah,
dude. Like I've been telling you, man, I will never forget the first episode of this podcast when it came out. Cause I remember like, I've always wanted a podcast that like someone interviewed people that like DJs and stuff like that. And anyone in the music industry. So I remember I was one of the very first listeners to your podcast. Dude. So it's always been cool for me to be, do these with you. Cause I mean, dude, the amount of podcasts I listened of yours on my way to when my mom lived in Fresno and I was in LA. That's what got me through all those drives. And it was so, I was always looking forward to the next episode. And so I always really appreciate you having me on here and let me talk to you and like, and use as a platform, but also like I love just talking to you. I can talk with you for fucking hours.
Dude,
so
me too, man. And first of all, thank you. That every time, I mean, that means a lot, man. It really hits me. I appreciate it, but also, man, I miss you, man. I hope we get to just hang out in person sometime, and I guess we don't have to record every conversation we have. You know?
Yeah. It'd be so funny if we like meet up at a show and you're like, so you have a recorder? You're like, I have a wire. Back to back Willy Joy in person.
It's like I feel like Nardwuar does that, you know.
Yeah,
I feel like I can't imagine him having a conversation that isn't recorded, you know.
Yeah. It's always to be on camera. But yeah, man, if you ever want to come, obviously I don't know if you're gonna say this, but you're in LA, right? Still?
I'm actually in DC these days.
Oh, you're in DC? Oh,
yeah.
Yes, I will be there pretty soon. I haven't announced it yet, but you'll see it.
Let's hang.
Yeah, come to the show. I would love to hang. Maybe get some dinner or drink some before the show.
All right, dude. Well, I'll let you get out of here, man. Thanks for doing this again. It's great talking to you.
Yeah, man. Likewise. Thank you so much for having me, dude. I hope to, honestly, let's do it again in the future. I'm so down.
Please, dude. Anytime. And congrats on the album, man. It's fucking great.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. Seriously.
Of course, dude. All right, man. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Peace, dude. Good talking to you.
Peace out, man. Be good.